Hey guys, the new gear aids have just come out and I am ready with some guides for you guys. First of all, I will be doing gear aid 2 in this video. Make sure to check out my other two for both of the other gear aids for those as well. But basically, gear aid 2 is the easiest of the new ones. It's still hard as hell and it is a little taxing strategy wise, but the requirements are a lot easier. And I will be showing you guys some of the easiest ways to do it, how to gear, basically everything. And hopefully this will help you guys out. I'll be sharing a lot of different strategies. So if you see a strategy that doesn't work for you, let's say for this strategy I'm going to show for stage 22, you don't have Aylin. Well, I'm going to show you a couple other strategies that do not require her. So keep that in mind as well. There will be timestamps, all that jazz. Basically, for substitutions for this strategy, this is like the minimum requirement. First of all, Sadie is kind of required because the boss has a shriek, which will essentially one-tap your units. And the way that the stage functions is you can't really use Volca Cycle as you were able to in stages 21 and below, because the slams that the boss does are like immediately after. So you really have to use Sadie or Carnelian. Carnelian also works beautifully. You can also use Harz's A1, King Harz's A1. I know it's a big ask to have an A1 on a Lord, but if you have his A1, he can shield your units as well. Those are the three main units that you basically have to have in order to survive the Shriek. Then beyond that, you need to have healers in order to survive the slams. Aylin is a great option. Vortex is a great option. You can also use Ferssi, which will lower the amount of damage that the boss does to you. And then you can use something like an Aylin for the multi-heals, Medan for the multi-heals. I'll show you guys a strategy with Ferssi afterwards, and no Aylin, all of that jazz. And then Valk replacement-wise, you can use things that are 3-tile range ground units. Any 3-tile range ground unit will replace Araka, Ardea, Lubu, Arrogance, Eris, Numera when she comes out. You could use freaking Phineas's alt. You can use Claw. You can use Yimmerit. There's a lot of different options to replace Valkyria. It's just Valkyria is the most accessible. Elysia is currently, to my knowledge, basically the only epic that has 3-tile range. So we're going to be using that. Oleg, Isolde as our main tanks, Vortex as a healer, and then these two slots here are flex slots. If you don't want to use Laurel, I recommend using another healer, just cycling the healer in and out to support your roster. Anyways, let's get into it, and I'll show you guys exactly how to beat this stage. Pod is off. First of all, when you go in, we're going to place Oleg, and then we are going to place Isolde. The good thing about Oleg not only is his shields, but also I'm pretty sure one of his awakenings makes it so that damage reduction applies to your teammates that are around him, which is really nice. But anyways, after placing our two tanks, we're going to place our Sadie up here. Very important that we put her up here because she's going to be able to keep our fighters alive. The reason why I'm using fighters instead of platform units, even though you can use something like a Comet, a Boreas, is just because it's easier to keep ground units alive. They have higher base HP. And also, I am able to place another healer down here that I wouldn't have been able to otherwise if I were to place things differently. I just find this to be the easiest way to do it. Anyways, after we place all of these units, we're going to place our first fighter. Now, because it is 22, if you build your Valk good enough, especially if she has awakenings, she can actually solo DPS. But realistically, if you don't have the gear for it, I'm just going to use Elysia as well for some supplementary DPS. Anyways, this Golem Shriek right here, like I said, we need Sadie for it. As soon as it is about to end, we're going to click her ultimate, and she's going to keep everyone in our range alive. Then we're going to place Vortex at the bottom. We want him to be building his ult up as soon as possible, just because of how the stage works. So keep that in mind. And then we're going to keep an eye out on this Earth Shake. This is the big slams that he does, and these things hit like an MFer. So we're going to click Aylin's ult right here, as well as Oleg and Isolde's ults as well. Very, very important. Oleg, will help keep everyone alive around him. It's like a mini Brokir. As you can see, Aylin has that damage reduction. Very, very important. And Aylin is kind of like a battery. She's just going to keep you alive forever, pretty much. And she is friggin' amazing. I love Aylin. One of the best units in the game right now, especially the current climate of the game. So you definitely want to pick her up. Anyways, second Earth Shake. Basically, we'll get 2 Earth Shakes on the first rotation. And then the second Shriek that happens, we're going to get 3. And that's when it gets a bit sketchy. But here we could just click Vortex Alt. And then we should be completely fine here, keeping everyone alive. Now, if you do get scared that you're going to die, you can place your Lily, you can place whatever you're using instead of Laurel, and then they will keep your healers alive. But for now, I'm not too worried. So we're just going to keep things moving. I'm going to click Valk Alt, and then we're going to click Sadie Alt immediately. Now, I don't have any rage on Aylin or Sadie, so it is going to be a bit sketchy. But Sadie will keep everyone alive right there, and we are going to keep things moving. I'm going to use Laurel down here, just because I have her. It would be a waste not to use her. And we're going to try to keep everyone alive until we get to the point where we can Aylin ult again. Because she's a little bit slow, because like I said, I don't have her built with Rage Regen. So we're just going to click our ultimates, try to keep some strain off of the tanks, and I am going to place down Lily when I am uneasy about keeping Aylin alive. She has a passive which will keep someone alive when they are supposed to die. So that's why I put Lily there, just as a little bit of a safety net. Now, Aylin is going to do an amazing, amazing job here of keeping everyone alive. And because she triggered later, actually, it might be a good thing because her ult is bleeding into this, this slam. We're going to trigger Vortex Ult, though, keep everyone alive. Remember that Lily still has her save, which she's going to use on Aylin, which is clutch because she's our most important unit. If Aylin dies, we are going to be okay. You don't need her to live. You can actually... Here, let me do something dumb. Don't do this if she lives for you. But let's just say she died here. We're still going to be okay because Sadie is back up. And I'm going to be able to put Sadie down. I could also put down Laurel and keep them alive. Lily's gonna die, but as long as Vortex and our tanks live, at this point we have won. So there we go. That is basically a GG right there. And we're just gonna try to clean house. The boss is going to start moving down, and we have Vortex Ult back up already because of Laurel, all of that stuff, and Sadie's up as well. And we're basically chilling. We're gonna speed this up. Keep an eye out that the boss is going to do slams once he gets to the tank. So keep that in mind. I'm going to put down Aylin again. And this is basically our main strategy, at least for minimum or quote unquote minimum requirement runs. We are starting with the easiest way to do this in terms of hero and gear requirements. These stages get very, very hard, very, very fast. So keep that in mind going into this, that these new gear rates are absolutely not easy. So let me just quickly show the gear, and then I will move on to stage 23, where I want to show you guys a different strat not using Aylin. Here's the damage stats as well. Gear-wise, and this is going to trickle over to the later stages. Ignore all of the ancient gear. Test server, we only get ancient gear. Basically just as much HP and defense as you can muster. Bastion Ring, of course. Moving on to Isolde, literally the exact same thing. Bastion Ring as well, not even leveled, which I think is kind of funny. Here we got Sadie. Basically your healers you want to build with as much HP as you can. Guardian is ideal. I have a base exclusive there. Vortex, this build's a little unrealistic, but basically as much HP as you can and attack speed subsets. Then Tumultuous Horn was easier for me, but you could use literally anything else. Valk, you just want to build with Infernal Roar, emphasis on attack. You don't need that much HP, it's just what I had on at the time. Then moving on to our Elysia, we have Soulbound, basically focus on attack. Realm Tear is pretty solid. Then Lily and Aylin, and the other units don't really matter. Lily, just as much HP as possible. I didn't have enough HP invig on test server because they never gave us any. So, because they only give us ancients, so I didn't have any. So that is just, you know, the gear that we're using. Lots of attack speed, as well as Elysian Epitaph. And then we are going to go over to Aylin. Aylin has Tia's Bomb for when her allies get low. And then we have a ton of HP, attack speed, and healing effect. I'm back, and Ferssi is honestly really easy. I'm going to be completely honest. So we're using the same DPS, and stage 23 gets a lot harder to kill things. You have to use more like legendary DPS for this stage if you do not have the gear. That's just how it is. I'll show you guys a way to use a platform unit later, but basically everything is the same except we're using Ferssi and we're using Medan, basically. So that's it. I mean, simply, it's very similar. Ferssi's damage reduction is so good for AoE, and most of the damage being taken is AoE damage, to the point where as long as you have someone doing multi-heals, aka Medan, Aylin is much better if you have her, you're gonna be fine. We're gonna do the same start as usual. We're gonna place down Oleg and Isolde. Once again, it'll be very hard to kill things, but I'm not too worried about that. Basically, you know, Sadie, same role as always, Carnelian, A1 King Harz. I'll show King Harz strat later because I think it's really interesting. But here we're gonna place down, actually let's do Valk next. And then we are going to trigger her ult, you know, use everything at our disposal. Here, let's do Ferssi. And then we're going to trigger Sadie ult as a way to keep everyone alive. Did you see how much less damage that did? Holy cow. Was that almost nothing? We're going to place Medan down just to do some multi-heals. Basically, I swapped Aylin's healer gear onto Medan. So keep that in mind as well. Here, we're going to get AoE'd, and it's not going to do a lot of damage. I always knew Ferssi was really good, but I never thought he was this good. Because it is a substantial difference. And Aylin does damage reduction, AoE damage reduction, too. But it is night and day. Holy cow. Anyways, we're going to keep ults going. We're going to trigger ults and stuff to keep people alive. Keep in mind you do have some other healers, but like I said, we don't need them. I mean, the only thing at risk of dying is Elysia, and that's just because she's on the side where she can't get healed. Here, Golem Shriek, we're gonna Sadie ult again, and after the Golem Shriek, it's the exact same stage. The only time the stage differs is stage 24, where it gets quite a bit harder, and I'll go over that in a second. But for now, it is literally the same stage. We just keep things going, and as long as we have enough DPS to kill, and we keep people alive long enough, we're good. I mean, right here, Earthshake, Ferssi ult, keep everyone alive, Elysia ult. You know, if we feel like we're in trouble, we could just Vortex ult. I didn't even Oleg ult. Keep in mind, Oleg provides damage reductions. I didn't do that a single time. That's how crazy this is. This is much harder than the last stage in terms of like requirements. But if you have Ferssi, you're fine. Obviously, Aylin strat works beautifully as well. But realistically, I mean, we're fine. Also, I would recommend you place Vortex on the right there. Just a heads up. I find it would be a little bit easier, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But we're gonna keep people alive as best we can. You know, I'm just steamrolling through this. You guys have already seen the stage. Also, sorry for test server. It is a little bit laggy. That's just always kind of how it is. Here, let's do Vortex ult. Keep everyone alive as best we can. I'm going to Oleg ult just because we are about to get bombarded. And I mean, we're completely fine. Like, no sweat at all. We just kind of trigger our ultimates, keep everyone alive, and dish out some damage. Also, a good thing about Ferssi is he provides inspiration. And because I'm not using any inspiration unit, then, you know, we're fine. And that is stage 23. Like I said, for the healers, I just swapped the gear off of Aylin. I swapped it off of Lily. Lily is here, but she's just a flex unit at the end of the day. She's not actually here. And that is the stage. So I'll show the damage stats and then move on to 24, where it actually gets really hard. I'll show a platform strat and a ground strat version as well, just in case you don't have units like Ardea and Eris. Here, damage stats, as you can see, Valk is the carry, but Elysia is good as well. We weren't really struggling that much for DPS, but it is still worth keeping in mind that you're going to kind of need a legendary DPS for that strategy that I just showed. Well, it took me an ungodly amount of time to figure this out, but I have done it. 224 is done. Wait. Sorry to interrupt, but it would mean the world to me if you guys liked the video and subscribed. These videos are a ton of work, and it would really help the channel out a ton. Thank you guys so much for your support, and let's get back to the video. And what you're gonna see, you're probably gonna say, hey, this is too high requirements, but I just want to remind you guys that for 324, you need Lady Alexandra. It is required. There is only one person I've seen on Forerunner that's done it without Lady Alexandra on stage 23 for Gear Raid 3, and Gear Raid 124 has not been beaten by any single person on Forerunner yet. So the fact that this requires an A1 Harz for this strategy is not too crazy. As you can see, Awakenings are not absurd, and this is the platform plus ground version. There is a version with an A0 Harz that I can use, but for this version, we're going to be using A1 Harz. Luckily, you don't need Sadie, which is a big pain usually, but you do need Ferssi and Aylin. Guaranteed Ferssi is required. You can swap Aylin out for a Sadie, but it's just a little bit harder. Diaochan's really good because she functions as both a healer and an inspiration unit, which is really nice. And then we have, you know, our two tanks, Harz and Brokir. We got Ardea as our main DPS, Comet as a great DPS as well. This is a very good strat. Now, I do have to give a big shout out to Andrew, which is a content creator that covered this stage. His videos were really good to use as a baseline reference, and I will link his channel in the description. I highly recommend that you check him out. Anyways, let's go into this. By the way, the gearing is probably the most important part of this, not just the timings. So I will show the gearing after this before I show you guys the alternative strategy that requires 2 ground units. What we're going to do immediately is we're going to put down Cyrene, followed by Aylin. The reason why we put Aylin so early is because whoever we place first on the platform tiles is going to get targeted by the rock throwers the entire game. And Aylin is built specifically to survive that for the entire game. It's very close, but that's how she's built. Let's put Aylin here in the middle. As you can see, just general placements. Make sure you do not use any tank ults yet. Here we're going to place down Ferssi, and then I'm going to put down the Wood Elf, sell Cyrene, just get Brokir up, help the healers out a little bit. Then I can pull the Wood Elf and put down Comet. You don't have to do it specifically this way. You can wait to put Comet down, but it doesn't really matter too much. Next, for the Golem Shriek, like I said earlier, Harz A1 completely soaks it up. And right there, boom, we get hit really bad, but we survive anyways. Let's put down Diaochan and swap her. I'm going to click Comet Alt to just clear the wave a little bit. And then we are going to immediately place Ardea. Not there. Place Ardea here. As soon as the Earthshake is about to get triggered, we're going to trigger this ult. Something interesting about this is there's actually 3 shrieks. The biggest problem with this stage is how long it is. There's 67 enemies versus like the 43 it was before on the other stages. And there's just so much more happening for longer. There are so many rocks throwers. There's so many things you have to kill. The DPS requirement is crazy. The survival requirement is somehow even crazier. This stage is such a big ramp up from the previous ones. It is actually absurd. But either way, we trek on. Earthshake comes in again. The second one, there's always just going to be 2, followed by a Shriek. I'm going to click Aylin alt. It's going to cover pretty much everyone on the left. Brokir is such a Chad. Brokir and Malvira are really the only options here because they can actually survive the Shriek. We're just cruising. We're chilling here. We don't need to swap Diao-chan or anything. Here on the Golem Shriek, we need to be very careful about Brokir triggers. So Harz I can trigger now because he has a wind up. But Brokir, we're going to wait until he gets hit by this runner. And then we can ult with him. And then I'm going to Ferssi ult. And the Ferssi ult just keeps everyone healthy. I kept having issues with my Ardea dying, which was very frustrating. So I just found that triggering Ferssi there made it more consistent. And I recommend you guys do the same. As the Earthshake comes out again, we can trigger the ult. And I can kind of prepare myself to trigger Comet ult a little bit later. Now, as the rock throwers come out, we are going to swap Diao-chan just to keep everything alive. It's very, very, very stressful. So just keep that in mind. We're going to Aylin alt. I'm going to put down the Wood Elf, and then I'm going to trigger Comet ult. And I'm just going to keep everyone at this point. It is very hard to see what's happening, but basically we're trying to keep everyone alive. Diao-chan is very close to dying, and she will die very, very soon. So just keep that in mind as something that'll happen. Here, let's Harz ult, followed by a Brokir ult, and then I'm going to Ferssi ult as well, just to keep everyone healthy, keep everyone alive, and then I'm going to swap to DPS form a little bit, probably swap her back a little afterwards, but with only 2 people throwing rocks, the way I have her built, it's not going to be an issue. Now it is an issue, so we're going to swap her back and pray that she doesn't immediately die, and she immediately dies. That's okay, though. At the end of the day, that's kind of what I expected. Now, the main thing that really made me struggle is triggering Ferssi to keep Aylin alive here. I might not get it first try. I may have to redo it. Here, let's do Comet ult immediately. But basically, there is a specific timing to keep Aylin alive, and I missed it. I was supposed to trigger Ferssi a little bit earlier. This is a problem. What'll happen because of this is our middle group will start getting molested, which is not what we want, because now they might die, and they will die. That is exactly what can happen there. I'm going to have to redo it, get to this point, trigger Ferssi at that time slot, and then I will be back. All right, I just got back to where I was. I just Aylin ulted. We are getting ready to Ferssi ult. The idea is the second that the first set of rocks is about to hit us, we are going to Ferssi ult, get her healthy, and then when the second rocks hit very close after, we'll hopefully be able to keep her alive. And that is the idea. Now, if I had A1 Aylin, which I tried not to, just in case you only have base Aylin, you'll be fine. But here we're going to Ferssi ult, get her healthy-ish, and she's barely going to live. Barely. Emphasis on barely. And we're just gonna try to keep her alive. Here we're going to click our ultimates, and we should be able to hopefully survive. Ardea is friggin' low as shit. Holy cow. But we keep ourselves alive. The boss will come down. The boss will do an AoE very soon. I'm going to trigger Aylin ult here just in preparation. The AoE that the boss does honestly is weak as hell. So we just need to clear out the rest of the enemies and make sure that we keep enough tools to survive. And this is the win right here. Now, this is the harder strategy in terms of requirements and difficulty in doing it. There is an easier way to do it, but it requires specific DPS in order to do it. So I figured I would show this one first, just to show you the A1 Harz, blah, 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 blah. But basically, this is the stage done. It wasn't too difficult. It just took a while to figure out with specific gearing, which I'll show in a second. But as you can see, that is the W. And that's exactly what we're here for, I guess. I don't know how to commentate this part. There's always some downtime in these videos where I don't really know what to say. But basically, here, second clear, we get about 110 mil on Ardea, 90 on Comet. That's just because Ardea is always attacking really hard, and Comet is just sometimes attacking really hard. Boreas would replace Comet. Eris could potentially replace Ardea. Lubu, I'm sure there's some other units like Yimi might be pretty strong. There's a couple of units that might be pretty good. Same thing with Harz is I just slapped on the tank gear. Same thing with Brokir, I just swapped it over. Ardea, you want to build with Soulbound, emphasis on attack. Shattered Hilt actually works for her, which is kind of crazy, so use that. Diao-chan was a very specific build. I would recommend a little more HP, but basically you just want to try to build her with some HP and some attack stats. As much HP as you can muster, by far. You could even run Guardian, you could run Ecleptus, you could run really anything. You could run Scarab as well for Artifact. It doesn't really matter how much she gives Invig, or Inspiration, I mean. It just matters if you keep her alive. Now, Venoma is only there to keep Comet alive. You probably don't need Venoma, but I used her. Comet, you want to build with as much HP as possible. HP subs are on every single piece. Max tier of Twilight, of course. Aylin is in Guardian with as much HP as I could get on her. Now, if you trigger Ferssi correctly, you don't need as much HP as I had on her. Just keep that in mind. Ferssi, you want to build very tanky with some healing stats. So a lot of attack speed, some attack, some healing effect. I had Euphoric Orb as well, just to increase our damage. And then Aylin is in this set that I showed earlier. Basically, tons of HP and some healing right there. Now, let's move on to the other strategy. I'm going to be completely honest. I couldn't get this run, but I got close. And I'm going to show you guys my best run, and hopefully you guys can take it a bit further. This stage is hard, and I have been at it for hours now. I can't with low-ish awakenings, I guess. I'm sure if I increased them a little bit, like got Regulus A5 or something, I could. But basically, if you don't have A1 Harz, you could run something like this. Something has been beaten on Forerunner with almost this exact team. I've been thinking about it a while. I think this works great. We have Venoma for Aylin. Cyrus is better. Obviously, you could actually use him as a tank, which is really good. But basically, we got Aylin. We got Regulus to keep Aylin alive. Sadie to keep everyone else alive during the shriek. Harz is just the Lord. We got Valk and Ardea, which is enough damage. You could replace these units with Eris, etc., etc. We also have Ajax, purely to damage boost. He's not even geared. And then, obviously, Ferssi Aylin. Let's see what happens, right? I've gotten it most of the way there, and as I just showed you, I have beaten it relatively, quote-unquote, simply. So you could kind of just go off of that. But here, what we need to do is, there's a couple things. Number one is we need to place Aylin. Aylin just simply needs to be placed. Because if she doesn't get placed, the rocks will target the middle and will die. Then we're going to do Regulus next to her. It's very hard to keep the tanks alive, but hopefully we will be okay. Then we're going to place Harz, just so that we don't die. Then we're going to place Sadie. We're going to ult with Harz, just so we don't have to deal with it. We're going to place a Wood Elf on the left, sell it, go ahead with Aylin. Then when the Golem Shriek comes, we're going to trigger Sadie, and then we are also going to trigger Regulus. Put down Ferssi. Make sure that Ferssi is down. We need that AoE damage reduction, or we literally die. And I almost forgot it, and we almost died. So just keep that in mind, that you need to keep that in mind. Also, everyone almost died. That is just what happens when you use these strats. Or you just do the stage. I mean, the stage is notoriously hard from anyone I've talked to who has done it so far. We really need Ardea to ult and kill everything. Otherwise, we may just not succeed, I guess. So what might have to happen is I might have to Wood Elf, sell it, put down Valk, and pray. We are going to leak, unfortunately. But like I said, I have been struggling. You just need to place Ardea down earlier, figure out a different turn order or anything. At the end of the day, as long as we survive, I am happy. Here I'm going to be doing Golem Shriek. We're going to be Regulusing it up. Then I'm going to using Ferssi. Regulus is going to proc, which is a little unfortunate. Since we do not have Cyrus, if Regulus does die, we will lose. If you have Cyrus, if Regulus just dies, on the final Golem Shriek, you can just replace him, right? So that's a big benefit of having Cyrus instead. We're going to keep things going, though, obviously, as far as we can take it, and see what happens at the end of the day. Moving on, Ardia's ult is up, so I'm pretty confident we can kill this wave. And then right here, when we need to trigger Aylin, we're actually going to Wood Sprite the right, because there's not a lot of healers on this Valk, and we need to give Valk some healing. So that's why I'm putting the Wood Elf over there. I'm pretty confident now that we don't have Comet that we're really not going to have any of our platform units die, which is nice. It's nice to not have to worry so much about it. Anyways, Golem Shriek is coming, so we're going to have to trigger everyone's ults, trigger Ferssi, and then Regulus dies. As you saw earlier, we were able to keep it alive, and if you literally just place Cyrus, then you're fine, and then that's GG. But if you're not using Cyrus, some suggestions I could have is if you can somehow get like an Eris, you'll have more damage, you'll have an easier time. But even if you're using Valk, as long as you change some of your DPS gear, maybe to be stronger, if you change some of your timings, or most importantly, what I think that would make this possible is your Regulus build. Regulus, first of all, the one I'm using is A0. When you get to this A1, when morale is activated, inflicts a defense increase on allies in range. This is the ultimate. This makes everyone else take less damage, which in turn reduces the amount of damage he takes. I think just with his A1, this would become doable. With the A3, this would make it doable. And with the A5, it wouldn't make it doable. You don't need his A5. With pretty much any of those awakenings, it does make it possible, or you could just build him better. I mean, Guardian is not the best set ever for tanks anymore. So if you can make it a little bit better, that is also ideal. As you can see, I A1'd him and I tried it again. Did not work. But basically, I hope this is a option for you guys and you're able to take this and run with it, try to beat the stage. It's not the end of the world if you don't beat 24. 23 is still better than 21 by a mile. I hope this video helped you guys. I hope these strategies somehow worked for some of y'all. And I really wish you guys luck. And make sure to check out the other videos that I will be uploading on the new gear raids. Would help me a ton. Make sure to like the video and subscribe. And that is it for me, Destined, signing out.